I know Canadians. I traveled Toronto, Quebec, and Ottawa, and Vancouver. I have seen your beautiful land many times, and I know your people are very open-minded. I mean, I was sitting in the coffee shop. I talked to the next person, and just conversation, and it went to everything else, and no problem. I know you guys are totally open-minded, but in the United States, unfortunately, I mean, we have 95% ships in the United States which watching TV, watching CNN, watching Fox 666 News Agency, and etc., and they don't pay attention to the real issues. I mean, the only one I can think of it is Lou Dobb, that is also time to time. I mean, most bring North American Union into his show. That's the only one I have seen so far. Except the rest of the CNN is a junk. Only Lou Dobbs, the only one who really behind it, try to give as much as information, but still people are watching like a ship, 95%. And I don't know how many people in your country are like that, but I know that it's less than us. Am I not right?
You are right. To a certain extent, we're a population of 30 million, and your country has 300 million souls. We are a large territorial area. However, our disposition is somewhat quite different when you cross the border between Canada and the United States. You recognize that we have more of a laid-back, agreeable nature that, and unfortunately, that sort of laid-back, agreeable nature, to a certain extent, also makes us vulnerable to these processes that are trying to, and successfully actually, take us over in a piecemeal fashion. But in Canada, that same mentality also leaves us in more of a better state, especially as one of the G20 nations, or the G8, if you will. That if we can reclaim control here, to a certain extent, we can almost, by example, create a domino effect that would actually start trickling down the way, because the entire system is being usurped as a collective. As individual pieces, it's been cut up into different sections that are being put together, and when they are together, this global new order, or unions, if you will, puts the entire globe, if you will, at least from the developed worlds, under the control and guise of an elect few. And that is not democracy, and that is not nationhood, and that certainly is not sovereignty. And the Canadian people do have the ability to go reclaim control. And until, however, we are organized, and until the population wakes up and realizes we are being lied to, and this is not conspiracy. We are literally, without any reservation or hesitation on the semantics of the word, we are being outrightly, blatantly lied to by not being told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And those lies are by buying into those and not taking the time to go look for yourself and develop an awareness and understanding, is leaving us vulnerable as masses to give our will freely to these individuals who we think are doing the best thing for us, and it is not. When we have now, even under existing trade laws that have been put in place, our country is being successfully sued by corporations for tens of millions of dollars, where it actually forces our democratically elected members of Parliament to actually stand before Parliament and make excuses and exonerations, apologizing for our restrictions of foreign corporations who are providing, we consider, dangerous products in our community that are actually harming our environment and our people. Now, when we lose that control as a nation, and our laws are no longer sovereign, and our Supreme Courts can be successfully challenging our own nationhood and laws and rights to self-govern by corporate interests that we've given that right to, you have foreign corporations now who have more power in states than these individuals who reside in the states. And that is atrocious and quite scary, because it's a harbinger of what's to come.
Exactly, indeed. I'm with you 100%. Dr. Moulden. And indeed, once we see the jobless rate in the United States is at 26 years high, and 2,700 Verizon employees after Thanksgiving, they got their pink receipt and say us bye-bye, and or we see 53,000 employees of the Citibank fired, while we give $306 billion to Citibank in order to make them the first nationalized bank in the United States. And then, what the hell is happening here? It's people can't see the reality. How many? I'm sure it's happened same thing over in your country. I heard the Nortel is lay off a lot of people, and pretty much they're under processing to close all the offices in Ottawa, Toronto, and I believe they have in Vancouver too. And they're going to ship all their building, everything. They're going to take it apart and ship it to Nigeria, and basically all your electronics, everything that Nortel used to make in Canada now will be made in Nigeria. Is that fair?
Well, the bottom line is this is how things are playing out, is that the core infrastructures I can speak on behalf of Canada, the core ownership of our country from our natural resources, and now these trade agreements are opening up to our social programs and the way we conduct our lives on a day-to-day basis, have been bought and sold. We no longer own our country. We no longer own its resources. And when that comes into place, at least for our country, not only do the high-paying decision-making jobs for corporations leave our country, it leaves us in a state of a call center nation where basically we cannot control the infrastructure in manufacturing and economic development from the point of view of actually becoming leaders. We're becoming followers, and we're being legislated in that way indirectly by these trade agreements that are basically constitutional forebears for this North American Union. And this is going to be a common event that you're going to see across the Americas as the infrastructure and workforce, if you will, the manufacturing and the jobs will be going to wherever you can around the world where slave labor is available or standards of living is lower, and you can maximize profit by providing a lower salary. It's non-unionized based, and then we are basically giving over control of our health and wellness of our future by acquiescing these sort of events that are occurring. So losing corporations is not something new, or losing jobs is not anything new, but it's basically the wave of the future under this North American Union where profit stands to gain, and irrespective of its care and concern for the average citizen who makes up a nation. And this is occurring in our countries, and we will be turning to Mexico for lots of lower costs for labor. We have already at this point opened up in Canada. Our natural resources are not unlimited, and for us to enter into agreements where we can't turn the taps off of something as simple as our fresh water, even in times that we are in dire need ourselves, these sorts of agreements do not help anybody at all from a nation. They're nation destroying, and that these things are going on incrementally. I can't say incrementally any stronger. You can't go out and take over sovereign nations. If you're not going to do it with military might, then this is the only way to do it in a piecemeal fashion, beyond the checks and balances that society has in place to remain accountable and transparent, and outside of the democratic process. And when this is going on and we see it as educated, informed citizens, we're appalled, and unfortunately, we're all, as individuals and groups and movements, if you will, or advocates, we're fractionated. And until we all come together under a common rubric and realize that this is humanity, ladies and gentlemen, and it's our humanity and the humanity of the futures ahead of us, if we do not take a stand now as a collective whole across these nations and link ourselves together as individuals and citizens to take back what is being stolen from us, then there will be no hope for us in the future, because we'll be entering a police state, which is are happening as we speak, and we're seeing more and more evidence of this as each year goes by in our own nation, which is a crying shame, considering